Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into something that might totally flip your perspective on what life after 70 can look like. Solo living after 70, 5 reasons it's better than you'd guess. Yep, you heard me right. Living on your own after 70 isn't the dreary, lonesome tale we've all been fed for years. Society's been pounding it into our heads that aging well means keeping the house full. Family buzzing around like bees, friends dropping by with coffee and chatter, a constant hum of company to ward off the so-called horrors of being alone. But what if I told you there's a growing tribe of folks over 70 who are tossing that script out the window, choosing to fly solo, and absolutely loving every second of it? And no, this isn't about turning into some grouchy recluse who scowls at the neighbors or builds a moat around their life. Not even close. It's about stumbling into a kind of freedom, peace, and pure, unfiltered joy that they didn't even realize they'd been missing through decades of noise and obligation. So what's the scoop? Why is solo living after 70 catching on, and why might it be way better than you'd ever imagine? Hang tight, because we're going to unpack 5 unexpected reasons that'll have you rethinking everything you thought you knew. Backed by real stories from real people who've lived it, plus a dash of science to keep it legit. Before we get started, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. We're dropping fresh, mind-shifting takes on aging, health, and living your best life every single week. And if this video strikes a chord with you, drop a 1 in the comments. Toss me a 0. I'm all about tailoring these to hit home for you. All right, let's jump in with both feet and see where this takes us. Picture this. You're 72, waking up to a house so still you can hear the soft tick of the clock on the wall, or the birds chirping outside your window like they're serenading you awake. No one's banging pots in the kitchen to whip up breakfast you didn't ask for. No TV blasting the morning news you couldn't care less about. Just you, your thoughts, and the gentle rhythm of a day that's yours to mold, however you darn well please. Maybe you roll over and dive into a book you've been itching to read, letting the pages pull you in without a single interruption. Or maybe you shuffle out to the porch with your coffee, watching the steam curl up in the crisp morning air, no one rushing you to get moving or chattering in your ear. Sounds like some idyllic daydream, doesn't it? But it's not. It's real life for people like Margaret, a 73-year-old I heard about not too long ago. Margaret's been living solo since her husband passed 5 years back, and while she'll always carry that loss, she's uncovered something she never saw coming. A deep, soul-soothing joy in having her own space, her own way. Back in the day, her house was a revolving door. Kids tearing through with muddy shoes, grandkids spilling juice on every surface, neighbors swinging by with casseroles and small talk she didn't always have the energy for. She was the heartbeat of it all, the glue keeping the chaos together, and she thrived on it, until she didn't. After her husband was gone, she braced herself for loneliness, expecting the silence to swallow her whole. But instead, she found herself swimming in it, thriving in a way she hadn't since she was a kid with no one to answer to. She told me, "I figured I'd hate being alone, but it's like I finally met myself again, and I like who I found. I didn't know I could feel this free." That's the first reason solo living after 70 can be better than you'd guess. It's your time, your rules, no compromises, no negotiations, no bending over backwards to fit someone else's clock. After decades of juggling everyone else's needs, work deadlines piling up, family dinners to orchestrate, friends needing a shoulder or a favor, you finally get to call the shots. No questions asked, no apologies needed. Want to sleep in until 10 because you stayed up late watching reruns of your favorite show? Do it. Your bed, your call. Feel like eating cereal for dinner with a scoop of ice cream on the side just because it sounds good? Go right ahead. Who's gonna raise an eyebrow? Margaret's gotten hooked on knitting. She'll sit for hours with her needles and yarn, the soft click-clack filling the room, no one tapping their foot impatiently or asking her to turn down the lights she's got set just how she likes them. Studies back her up. A report from the Journal of Aging Studies found that older adults living alone often report higher life satisfaction when they lean into their independence, when they stop seeing solitude as a sentence and start seeing it as a gift. It's not about shutting people out or locking the door on the world. It's about opening the door to your own rhythm, your own pace. Think back for a second. When's the last time you did exactly what you wanted? No haggling, no guilt trips, no I should be somewhere else nagging at you. If you're over 70, solo living hands you that freedom on a silver platter. Time that's yours from dawn to dusk, no strings, no fine print. Now, let's pivot and talk about something else that sneaks up when you go solo. Mental clarity that hits you like a cool breeze on a muggy afternoon, clearing out the fog you didn't even know was there. You know how living with others can turn into a non-stop soundtrack you didn't pick? Kids hollering about lost socks or who gets the last cookie, a spouse debating whether to buy the cheap ketchup or splurge on the fancy stuff, maybe a roommate who won't stop humming off-key or recounting their day in excruciating detail. It's not awful, it's just relentless. That noise piles up in your head like clutter you can't sweep away, stacking up until your thoughts feel like they're tripping over each other just to get a word in. After 70, when your brain's already wrestling with a lifetime of memories, maybe a little less patience for chaos and a touch slower processing speed, that racket can weigh you down more than it ever did in your younger years. Solo living turns the dial way down, giving you a breather you didn't know you needed. Meet Henry, a 71-year-old retired carpenter I ran into at a hardware store a while back. Henry's been on his own since his divorce at 68, and he swears it's like someone took a broom to his mind and swept out the cobwebs. He used to share a house with his ex-wife and their grown son. Great people, don't get him wrong, but always underfoot, always something to fix or fuss over. The sink's dripping again, the TV's blaring a game he doesn't care about, someone's mad about who ate the last slice of pie. It was a constant hum of distraction, a low-grade buzz he couldn't tune out. Now, he's got a little apartment, just him and his toolbox, and he told me, I can hear myself think again. No one's yapping in my ear about the weather or the neighbor's barking dog or what's for dinner. That's reason number 2. A quieter mind that's yours to steer. No static, no interference. No one else's voice drowning out your own. Science has got his back. Studies from the American Psychological Association say solitude can drop stress hormones like cortisol in older adults, giving your brain a break from the overload, a chance to reset and breathe. Henry spends his mornings sketching furniture designs, simple stuff, chairs and tables he might build someday, or maybe just doodle for the fun of it. No rush, no one barging in to break his flow, no one asking him to turn it down or speed it up. It's not about being a loner or turning your back on the world. It's about curating your own peace, like picking a playlist with only the songs you love. No skips needed. Picture this. A morning where your thoughts get to stretch out, wander wherever they want. No one tugging you 6 different ways before you've even finished your coffee or had a chance to just sit with yourself. Doesn't that sound like a mental vacation? A little slice of calm in a world that's always turned up to 11? Next time you're tangled in everyone else's noise, whether it's a grandkid's tantrum or a partner's endless debate over the grocery list, imagine a day with just your own voice, your own quiet. Solo living after 70 makes that real, hands you that stillness like a gift you didn't know you'd been craving. Here's where it gets downright fascinating, and maybe even a little personal. Reason number 3, rediscovering who you are when the spotlight's off, the crowd's gone home, and there's no one left to play to. Living with others, even the best of them, spouses, kids, friends, can lock you into a role you didn't fully sign up for. You're the cook who's got dinner on the table by 6, the listener who nods through every rant about the boss or the weather, the peacemaker who smooths out every squabble before it turns into a full-blown fight, labels you've worn so long they feel like they're stitched into your skin. You get good at it, sure, but after a while you start wondering, is this all I am? Solo living after 70 peels back those layers, strips away the costume, and lets you see what's underneath. Take Clara, 74, who's been on her own since her kids moved out and her sister passed a few years back. Clara was the family glue for decades. Thanksgiving at her place with all the trimmings, Christmas with a tree she'd wrestle into the stand herself, always the one patching up fights between her brothers or calming her niece's latest meltdown over a breakup or a bad grade. Everyone leaned on her, counted on her to keep the ship steady, and she thrived on it, until she started asking herself, Who am I when I'm not the one holding it all together? What's left when the table's empty? So, when the house went quiet, she didn't rush to fill it with noise. She picked up painting, not museum-worthy masterpieces, just splashing colors on a canvas in her dining room, letting the brush go where it wanted, and found a piece of herself she'd buried since her 20s. Back when life was all dreams and no diapers, no mortgages, no midnight diaper runs. She told me, I'm not just mom or auntie anymore. I'm Clara, and I'm kind of a badass with a paintbrush. That's the spark here. You get to meet yourself again, raw and unscripted. No one else's expectations pinning you down, no one else's needs dictating your lines. Research from the University of Michigan backs this up. Older adults who embrace solo time often say they feel more in sync with themselves, tougher in the face of life's curveballs, like they've rediscovered a resilience they'd forgotten they had. Clara's not lonely. She's digging into who she is, unearthing bits of her soul she didn't know were still there. Maybe you dust off that harmonica you haven't blown since the 70s, letting the rusty notes fill the room, or just sit and let your mind wander back to the teenager you were, full of big plans and bigger hair, dreaming of a life you're still living. Point is, it's your show now. No director calling cuts, no audience demanding an encore. Think about it. What's one thing you'd try if no one was there to weigh in, to nod or frown or nudge you back into line? Solo living after 70 hands you that blank slate. Grab a pen, a brush, a dream, and start scribbling whatever feels true. Let's keep the momentum rolling with reason 4. Because this one's a game changer. Energy that actually hangs around instead of slipping through your fingers like sand. Living with others, whether it's a spouse, kids crashing back home after college, or even a chatty roommate, takes a toll, a slow drip you don't always notice until it's gone. You're cooking for 2 when you'd rather zap a frozen meal and call it a night, tidying up their socks or coffee cups when you'd rather kick back with a book, nodding through their long-winded stories about the coworker who won't shut up when your eyes are drooping and all you want is a nap. After 70, your energy tank isn't what it was in your 40s. You're not bouncing back from late nights or long days like you used to. And that's not a dig, it's just biology doing its thing. Solo living lets you hoard that fuel for yourself, lets you keep it in your pocket instead of handing it out like free samples. Meet George, 76, a former truck driver who's been solo since his wife passed 3 years ago. George used to run a full-on circus. Wife, 2 yappy dogs that shed everywhere, grandkids tumbling in every weekend like a tornado of sticky hands, loud games, and endless requests for snacks or stories. He adored it, soaked it up, but it sucked him dry. He'd be slumped in his recliner by noon, wiped out from the chaos, wondering where his get up and go had gone. Now, he's got a little condo, just him. And he told me, I've got juice I didn't know was still in me. I'm not pouring it into everyone else's cup anymore. He's out fishing at dawn, the sun glinting off the water as he casts his line, tinkering with his old radio in the afternoons until it crackles to life, even cooking chili from scratch, just because he's in the mood, letting the spices simmer while he hums to himself. Studies from the National Institute on Aging say older adults who live alone and manage their energy smart report better sleep, fewer aches, and more pep in their step. Less giving away, more keeping for themselves. More mornings where they wake up feeling like they've got something left in the tank. George still sees his family, catches the grandkids for a Sunday here and there. But it's on his clock, when he's got the bandwidth to enjoy it instead of dragging through it. It's not about being stingy or selfish. It's about being savvy with what you've got. Playing your cards right so you're not tapped out by lunchtime. Imagine a day where every bit of your energy stays in your pocket. No one's dipping in to borrow it. No one's leaning on you when you're already leaning on yourself. Next time you're dragging, bone-tired from someone else's mess or demands, ask, who's siphoning me dry? Solo living after 70 lets you plug that leak, lets you keep that spark for the stuff that lights you up. All right, let's cap this off with reason 5, and trust me, it's a heavy hitter that ties it all together. Control that feels like straight-up power, like you're the captain of your own ship again. After 70, life can throw some wild punches. Health hiccups that sneak up out of nowhere. Money worries popping up like weeds you can't yank fast enough. the world spinning faster than you can track, with all its tech and noise and changes you didn't sign up for. Living with others can mean bending to their quirks, their habits, their little chaos. Maybe they crank the heat when you're already roasting under a sweater, or blast the TV when you're craving quiet, or leave the sink full of dishes when you like it spotless and gleaming. It's not a war, just a constant tug-of-war over space, over how things get done. Solo living puts the reins back in your hands, lets you steer the ship without a co-pilot, second-guessing every turn. Meet Ruth, 72, who's been on her own since her roommate moved out last year. Ruth used to share a place with a friend. Nice gal, good heart, but always shuffling the furniture around like she was staging a magazine shoot, or frying fish that made Ruth gag and light every candle in the house to mask the smell. It wasn't a battleground, just a steady stream of small surrenders. Ruth compromising on the thermostat, the noise, the vibe of her own home. Now, her apartment's her fortress. She sets the thermostat to a crisp 68 degrees, plays jazz on her little speaker when she wants, keeps the fridge stocked with her favorite yogurt, and none of that fishy nonsense that used to haunt her dreams. She told me, "I didn't realize how much I hated compromising until I stopped. It's like I'm the queen of my own little world again, and I'm not giving that up." Studies from the Gerontological Society say older adults living solo often feel more in command of their surroundings, more in the driver's seat, and that slashes stress like a hot knife through butter. Fewer battles, more victories. Ruth's not cut off from the world, she's in charge of hers. Picture a day where every choice is yours, no debates over the remote, no trade-offs on what's for dinner, no negotiating the volume or the vibe. Doesn't that feel like you're running the show? Like you've got the power back in your hands after years of sharing it? Next time someone's chaos irks you, whether it's a dish left out or a TV blaring, imagine a space that's 100% your call, your kingdom. Solo living after 70 delivers that, hands you the crown and the keys. But let's zoom out and chew on why this all lands so perfectly after 70. Why it feels like the stars align for this kind of life at this exact stage. It's not just about dodging the roommate roulette or family drama, it's about where you are on the journey. By 70, you've clocked decades of giving, pouring yourself out like water from a pitcher, raising kids through sleepless nights and teenage storms, building careers that demanded your mornings and your midnights, keeping friendships afloat through moves and fights and fading time. You've earned a breather, a chance to refill that pitcher instead of tipping it over for everyone else. Margaret's knitting isn't just a hobby, it's her reclaiming hours she used to spend stitching everyone else's lives together. Henry's sketches aren't just doodles, they're his mind stretching out after years of being drowned out by other people's voices. Clara's paintings aren't just art, they're her soul waking up from a long nap under the weight of other people's needs, a nap she didn't even know she'd taken. George's fishing trips aren't just outings, they're his energy bank, filling back up after decades of withdrawals he didn't track. Ruth's thermostat isn't just a dial, it's her flag planted in her own ground, a declaration that this patch is hers to rule. Studies say older adults who live alone and lean into it often feel less burdened, less guilt about saying no, less rush to keep up, more room to just be, to exist without apology. It's not about isolation or turning your back on love, it's about intention, about choosing yourself after a lifetime of choosing others first. And let's keep it real. Solo living's not all sunshine and rainbows every day. There are moments when the quiet feels too big, when the walls echo a little too loud, when you miss the chatter of a full house or the warmth of someone else's footsteps in the hall. Margaret gets that. She'll call her daughter when the silence presses in, just to hear a voice that knows her. Henry's got a neighbor he grabs coffee with when he needs a break from his own head, a quick chat to tether him back. Clara's got her painting group once a week, a handful of folks who keep her connected without crowding her. George checks in with his grandkids on Sundays, their giggles lighting up his phone line. Ruth's got her jazz buddies down the hall, popping in for a tune when she's in the mood. Point is, solo doesn't mean stranded. You're not cutting ties or burning bridges. You're curating your crew, picking who gets a seat at your table and when. Research from the AARP says older adults living alone who stay lightly connected, quality over quantity, a few good threads instead of a tangled web, thrive more than those drowning in constant company that drains them dry. It's balance, not banishment. You're not locked in a tower. You're free to open the door when it suits you. So, let's paint the picture one more time. You're 70 plus, waking up to a day that's yours from the first light. You linger over breakfast because there's no rush, let your thoughts wander because there's space to breathe, tinker with a project because it's calling your name, save your energy for what lights you up instead of what wears you down, and tweak your world to fit just right. No arguments, no adjustments. Margaret's knitting in peace, her needles clicking like a metronome to her own beat. Henry's sketching in silence, his pencil tracing lines no one interrupts. Clara's painting her heart out, colors splashing across a life she's rewriting. George is fishing with fire, rod in hand and a grin on his face. Ruth's ruling her roost, jazz humming as she reigns supreme. All because they went solo and struck gold. Not because they ditched love or life, but because they picked themselves. Maybe for the first time since they were too young to know what they were giving up. What's one thing you'd chase if it was just you and the open road ahead? No one to please, no one to placate? Drop a 1 in the comments if this sparked something in you, or a 0 if it's not your jam. Smash that like button if you're feeling the vibe, subscribe if you're not already writing with us, and I'll catch you in the next one. Solo or not, you're absolutely crushing it.